Have you ever walked away from a date thinking, I don't even know what he saw in me if he saw me at all? Because here's the thing, what men notice isn't always what you think they notice. It's not always your makeup, your outfit, or that witty thing you said at dinner. Sometimes it's the way your energy shifts when you talk about something you love, or how your eyes soften when you're truly listening, or even how you treated the Uber driver on the way to meet him. We think attraction lives in the highlight reel, but real connection, it lives in the moments in between. So let's talk about the 7 surprising things men actually notice, and why they might be falling for a version of you that you didn't even realize you were showing, shall we? You know what's fascinating? I've coached women who spent hours getting ready for a date-perfect dress, flawless makeup, great conversation topics lined up, and still walked away wondering why the guy didn't call back. And then I've seen others walk in with messy buns, barely thought through outfits, and no game plan at all, and completely captivate the room. The difference? Their energy. Before you even open your mouth, before you make eye contact, the way you carry yourself is already telling your story. Years ago, I remember being at an event-crowded space. Loud music, everyone trying to impress. But there was one woman who caught everyone's attention. The second she walked in, she wasn't the loudest. She wasn't doing anything performative, but she carried herself with this calm certainty, like she didn't need the room to approve of her in order to belong there. And you know what? People couldn't stop watching her, including me. That's energy. It's not what you wear, it's how you wear it. It's not about being the most attractive person in the room. It's about being the most aligned with who you are. When you walk into a room thinking, I hope they like me, your energy bends to please. But when you walk in knowing, I like me, everything shifts. You move differently, you speak differently, and men pick up on that immediately. Because they're not just reading your body language, they're feeling the emotional tone you're saying. You become magnetic not by trying to impress, but by embodying the belief that you belong, that your presence is enough. Don't underestimate it. Your energy introduces you long before your words ever do. I once went on a double date with a friend of mine, and I remember watching the woman he was seeing have a mini meltdown over the waiter forgetting her side of avocado. It sounds ridiculous, but in that one small moment, everything changed. Before that, he was really into her thought. She was funny, charming, confident. But after that little outburst, he couldn't unsee it. Because how someone reacts when things don't go their way, that's when the mask slips. That's when the truth shows up. It's easy to seem composed when everything's going right. But real confidence, real emotional maturity shows up when life throws you something inconvenient or mildly annoying. And those moments, men are watching. They're noticing how you handle a wrong coffee order, a delay in plans, someone cutting you off in traffic. It may feel insignificant, but it reveals whether you're grounded or if you're constantly reacting. I remember coaching a client once who couldn't understand why her relationships fizzled out after a few dates. When we broke it down, it wasn't the big moments, it was the little ones. How she brushed off compliments, how she made subtle jabs at people who annoyed her, how she tensed up when plans changed. These micro reactions were shaping the entire way men experienced her. But when you handle small moments with grace, a light touch, even humor, that's when you become unforgettable. Because it tells a man, this is someone I can enjoy life with. Someone who doesn't need everything to be perfect to still show up beautifully. That's powerful. And trust me, men don't just notice it. They remember it. How you handle the little things tells him everything he needs to know about the big ones. I was having lunch once at a cafe and saw a couple sitting a few tables down. What struck me wasn't their conversation, it was the way she kept lightly tucking her hair behind her ear, laughing softly, leaning in with this natural ease. It wasn't staged, it wasn't performance, it was just her. And yet, it was magnetic. You could see the way he was locked in, completely drawn to her. That's what I mean when I say authentic femininity. It's not some script you follow. It's in those unconscious, honest moments that reveal your comfort, your openness, your presence. We live in a world that tells women to either tone themselves down or turn themselves up. But true feminine power, real, lasting allure isn't loud, and it's definitely not forced. It's soft in the right places and strong in the right ways. It's in the way you listen with your eyes, the way you instinctively smile when you're enjoying someone's company, the way your body relaxes when you feel safe and connected. And none of it needs to be exaggerated to be impactful. I once had a woman ask me if she needed to flirt more, be more touchy, or try harder to catch a man's attention. And I told her this: you don't need to manufacture attraction, you just need to stop hiding your natural warmth. Most of the time, we're so focused on being impressive that we forget to be inviting. But men notice those gentle, real, unpolished gestures. They notice when you're at ease in your body, when your guard is down, when you're not trying to perform. The truth is, it's not about doing more. It's about allowing more of yourself to show. I once had a woman say to me, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I say all the right things, but it never seems to land. And I told her, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Your voice isn't just a tool for speaking. It's a transmission of emotion, of energy. And men, whether they realize it or not, are incredibly sensitive to it. Think about someone you love, hearing maybe a friend, a mentor, someone whose voice instantly calms or excites you. Now think about why. It's not the words, it's the tone, the warmth, the way they pause, emphasize, slow down. That's what stays with you. Years ago, I was on a call with someone I was dating, and we weren't talking about anything particularly special, just plans for the weekend. But something about the way she spoke, the way she laughed softly between words, how she took her time, it made me feel like I was exactly where I wanted to be. That's the power of presence in your voice. Your voice tells people whether you believe in what you're saying, whether you're confident, rushed, nervous, or deeply comfortable with who you are. When a woman speaks with softness and clarity, when she allows her emotion to live inside her words, it draws people in. It's not about being loud or polished. It's about being felt. I've worked with countless women who transform the way people experience them just by slowing down, breathing into their words, and letting their real voice and their performance voice come through. Because when a man hears that version of you, it doesn't just make him listen, it makes him feel. And people never forget how you made them feel. I'll never forget this moment I had years ago. I was speaking at an event, and during the Q&A, a woman stood up to ask a question. But before she even said a word, I knew she had something important to say. It wasn't just her posture or the silence she held, it was her eyes. They were steady, focused, and fully present. You could feel her conviction, and the room responded before her voice even broke the silence. That's the thing. Your eyes speak volumes long before your mouth does. They're a direct channel to your energy. And whether it's a date, a conversation, or just a glance across the room, men pay attention to what your eyes are saying. Not consciously, maybe, but they feel it. If your eyes are darting around, checking your phone, scanning the environment, it signals you're not fully there. And no one feels safe investing in a connection with someone who's only halfway in. But when your eyes stay with someone, when they soften, stay still, and reflect genuine interest, it makes a man feel seen. Not just looked at, but actually seen. And in a world where most of us are used to surface level attention, that kind of presence is rare and powerful. I remember being on a date once where the conversation was good, but it was her eyes that made the biggest impact. Every time I spoke, she looked at me like what I was saying mattered. Not in a performative way, but in a grounded, present way. That alone changed the entire dynamic. You don't need to overthink it. You just need to be there. Because the more you're in the moment, the more your eyes reflect a kind of emotional availability that's impossible to fake and unforgettable to experience. I remember once sitting in a restaurant waiting for a friend, and I noticed a woman who was with a group. When the server came over, she greeted them with a warm smile, thanked them sincerely, and treated everyone around her with genuine kindness. No need to impress, no spotlight, just real care. It caught my attention. I thought, this is the kind of energy that speaks louder than any carefully crafted line or flashy outfit. How you treat others when you don't have to is one of the clearest reflections of who you are. Men notice it, even if they don't call it out. It's in the way you interact with the barista, the cashier, or the stranger on the street. It's not about grand gestures. It's about consistent kindness and respect in those small, everyday moments. I've seen women focus so much on impressing a potential partner that they forget the way they carry themselves when no one's watching. But attraction isn't built on performance, it's built on authenticity. When you treat people with warmth and empathy without any expectation or agenda, it sends a message. You're secure in yourself, you don't need to put anyone down to feel better, and you value the humanity in everyone. I've worked with clients who thought they had to be on all the time to attract a man. But the moment they relaxed and showed genuine kindness in simple moments, something shifted. They became magnetic not because they were perfect, but because they were real. That natural kindness doesn't just reflect your character, it sets the tone for how a man will feel around you. And trust me, that kind of energy leaves a lasting impression. How you treat others when you don't have to says everything about the woman you really are. I once met a woman who was constantly told to toughen up because she was too kind. She felt like her kindness was being mistaken for weakness, and that confused her. But here's the truth. Kindness isn't about being soft or easy to push around. It's one of the strongest things you can bring into any relationship. Real kindness comes from a place of confidence and inner strength. It's a choice to respond with grace, even when you don't have to. I've seen countless women think they have to put on a tough exterior to be taken seriously or to keep a man interested. But what actually happens? They build walls, they become defensive, and they push people away. On the other hand, the women who stand out, who truly captivate, are those who show kindness without apology. They're secure enough in themselves to be generous with their emotions and open with their hearts. Think about the times you've been kind, not because it was expected, but because it was the right thing to do. Maybe you stayed calm during a frustrating moment, or you offered a sincere compliment when you didn't need to. Those moments aren't signs of weakness, they're proof you're emotionally resilient. I remember coaching a client who was worried her kindness made her vulnerable, but as she started embracing that kindness as a strength, her relationships transformed. Men were drawn to her authenticity, her warmth, and her ability to stay composed in any situation. That kind of strength creates safety and trust, the foundation for any meaningful connection. Kindness is power. It reflects a woman who knows her worth and doesn't need to tear others down to stand tall. And that kind of strength, that's irresistible. I once had a conversation with a guy who told me about a woman he was dating. He said, "She never says anything extraordinary, but when I'm around her, I just feel different. Seen, appreciated, like I matter." That stuck with me because it highlights a powerful truth. It's not always what you say that makes the impact, it's how you make someone feel. And in relationships, feelings are the currency. I've seen so many women get caught up in trying to say the right things, perfect compliments, clever jokes, intellectual conversations, thinking that's what wins a man over. But the reality? A man might not always remember the exact words, but he'll never forget how you made him feel. Did you make him feel safe, valued, energized, or did he feel judged, drained, or like he had to be someone else? I remember coaching a client who was struggling with connection. She was smart, funny, and articulate, but something was missing. When we focused on her presence, her energy, and her ability to genuinely listen and engage without rushing or interrupting, everything changed. Suddenly, men weren't just hearing her, they were feeling her. That shift made all the difference. The way you respond to him, the warmth in your smile, the patience in your tone, the encouragement in your eyes, all of these things communicate on a deeper level than words ever can. It's the emotional experience you create that builds attraction and trust. If you want to leave a lasting impression, focus less on crafting perfect sentences and more on creating a space where he feels understood and appreciated. Because feelings last longer than words ever will. I remember a time early in my life when I realized something profound about connection. I was talking to a guy who was usually guarded and hesitant to open up. But with one woman, he completely let his walls down, something I hadn't seen before. What was different? He told me it was because she made him feel safe. And that changed everything. Emotional safety isn't just a nice to have. It's the foundation of deep attraction. When a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, it means he trusts that he can be himself without judgment or pressure. He doesn't have to hide his fears, vulnerabilities, or insecurities. And when that happens, the connection moves beyond surface level attraction to something real and lasting. I've worked with women who think they have to keep a certain image or play a role to keep a man interested. But what truly holds someone's attention is creating a space where he feels he can be authentic. It's not about fixing him or changing him. It's about showing respect and acceptance for who he is, flaws and all. Creating emotional safety means listening without interrupting, responding without criticism, and encouraging openness with your own vulnerability. It's in the small moments of reassuring look, a gentle touch, a calm tone that make a man feel grounded and understood. I've seen relationships transform when this kind of safety is present. It's like the foundation of a house without it. Everything else is shaky, but with it, love grows strong and deep. If you want a connection that lasts, start by being the woman who makes a man feel safe. That's the real magnetism. I once met a woman who, despite not fitting conventional standards of beauty, carried herself with such undeniable self-worth that she turned heads the moment she walked into a room. What made her magnetic wasn't her looks, her outfit, or even her smile. It was the way she valued herself. And that, more than anything else, is the single most irresistible trait a woman can have. Self-worth isn't something you put on like a costume. It's a deep, internal knowing of your value. It's not about arrogance or superiority. It's about confidence rooted in authenticity. Men notice this immediately because it sets the tone for how you allow yourself to be treated. When you respect yourself, you naturally set boundaries, demand respect, and refuse to settle for less than you deserve. I've worked with countless women who felt the need to overcompensate, trying too hard to please, seeking validation, or shrinking themselves to fit someone else's expectations. But the moment they started embracing their self-worth, everything shifted. They became less needy, more magnetic, and attracted men who genuinely valued them. Think about it. When you carry a quiet confidence that you're enough just as you are, it gives off an energy that can't be faked or bought. It tells a man, I know my worth, and I'm not here to beg for your attention. I'm here because I deserve to be. That kind of self-assurance creates freedom. It allows you to show up fully and authentically without fear or desperation. And men sense that freedom. They're drawn to it because it signals emotional strength and stability. Self-worth isn't just attractive, it's the foundation for every successful relationship you'll ever have. Never underestimate its power. At the end of the day, what men truly notice goes far beyond appearances or rehearsed words. It's the energy you carry, the kindness you show, and the self-worth you embody. These qualities create a magnetic presence that draws people in naturally and effortlessly. Remember, real attraction is built on authenticity, emotional safety, and how you make others feel in your presence. When you nurture these from within, you not only elevate your relationships, but also your own sense of power and fulfillment. Embrace your true self, because that is the most irresistible thing you have to offer.